At first light, the land opens wide, flat horizons. Pale sand scattered stones, baked smooth by years of sun. There are no trees tall enough to cast shelter. No shadows deep enough to swallow a shape. Wind slides across the surface, lifting dust in thin, restless lines. Every sound travels far. Every movement leaves a mark. This is a place where survival favors speed, strength, and visibility. Predators here are expected to run hard, to chase long, to overwhelm in the open. Prey survives by seeing danger early, by spotting the outline of death from a distance, and fleeing before it draws near. In the desert, nothing should arrive unseen. And yet the silence keeps breaking in subtle ways. A small herd grazes at dawn. Minutes pass. The wind shifts. Then one shape is missing. No cry, no burst of motion, no frantic scattering of bodies across the sand. Just an absence where life stood moments before. The ground offers no explanation. No churned earth, no drag marks, no scattered signs of struggle. The desert remains still, as if nothing has happened. As the sun climbs higher, heat presses down and erases the cool traces of morning. Tracks soften. Scents fade. Whatever passed through this place has already gone, leaving behind only the question of how. In environments like this, every mistake is exposed. A single sound can carry for hundreds of meters. A single silhouette can betray its owner against the empty horizon. There is nowhere to crouch unseen, nowhere to rush without consequence. Here, predators are usually revealed long before they strike. But some hunts do not announce themselves. They begin without warning and end without proof. They leave prey missing rather than destroyed. They pass through open land as if the land itself were complicit. As the day advances, scavengers circle where they always do, drawn by patterns learned over generations. But today, they find nothing. The desert gives no hint that death has already occurred here. By nightfall, the temperature will drop sharply. Wind will smooth the surface once more, and by morning, the land will look untouched, clean, indifferent, empty. Whatever hunts in this place does not rely on pursuit. It does not challenge the desert. It uses it in a landscape that reveals everything. Something has learned how to remain unseen. In the open deserts and semi-arid lands, predators are often defined by what they display. Size, power, speed across long distances. Survival here usually belongs to those that can dominate space, those that can be seen and feared from afar. But not all hunters follow that rule. The caracal occupies a different position in this landscape. Medium in size, compact in build, it does not command the horizon by presence alone. Its body is lean, balanced for sudden movement rather than endurance. Long limbs lift it just high enough above the ground, while padded paws soften every step. Even in daylight, its shape blends easily into sandstone and dry grass. What sets the caracal apart is not strength, but precision. Its movements are measured. Its posture remains low. Its presence rarely announces itself. Large ears rise above its head, crowned with dark tufts that sway subtly with motion. These ears are not decoration. They are instruments constantly adjusting, rotating independently, mapping sound in a landscape where vision offers little advantage. In open terrain, hearing becomes the primary sense. The caracal listens long before it moves. Within the food web of desert ecosystems, the caracal is neither the apex ruler nor the weakest link. It hunts smaller mammals and birds, often those that believe the openness of the land keeps them safe. It avoids unnecessary confrontation with larger predators, not through submission, but through absence. Where others assert dominance, the caracal withdraws into invisibility. Unlike hunters that rely on prolonged chases, the caracal does not test endurance. It tests timing, distance, accuracy. Every hunt depends on closing the gap without being detected, even when the terrain offers almost no cover. There is no margin for error here. A misstep sends sound across the sand. A silhouette breaks the horizon line. A second too late, and prey vanishes into the distance. To survive under these conditions, the caracal has refined a hunting style that minimizes exposure. It moves when the land is quiet. It waits when attention is high. It strikes only when success is nearly certain. As a result, its presence is often inferred rather than observed. Prey disappears. Feathers appear scattered without explanation. Carcasses are found cold long after the hunter has withdrawn from the area. The caracal does not linger. It does not defend kills aggressively. It does not reveal itself unless necessary. In ecosystems shaped by heat scarcity and constant risk, this strategy allows the species to persist without dominating the landscape. Survival is achieved not by control, but by precision and restraint. In a desert that exposes everything, the caracal survives by leaving almost nothing behind. Every action is exposed, and every mistake carries consequences that arrive quickly. For a hunter that depends on remaining unseen, the environment itself becomes the first adversary. Open ground limits approach. Sparse vegetation provides no reliable cover. Even the smallest shift of gravel underfoot can betray position. In this landscape, the margin between success and failure is measured in centimeters. Prey species here are adapted to constant vigilance. Many feed in open groups, spreading attention across multiple pairs of eyes. Heads lift at the slightest disturbance, ears turn toward unfamiliar sounds. Flight responses are immediate and decisive. Survival depends on early detection, and the desert rewards those who react first. For the caracal, this creates a constant tension. To hunt, it must move. To survive, it must not be noticed. As daylight strengthens, conditions worsen. Heat waves distort the horizon. Scents disperse unpredictably. Shadows shrink and lose depth. Each passing hour strips away the advantages of concealment. What little cover exists becomes unreliable. Compounding this challenge are competitors that dominate through presence rather than stealth. Larger predators patrol the same territories, relying on size and intimidation to secure food. Birds of prey circle overhead, their vision cutting through vast distances. Even scavengers pose a risk, drawn by activity and quick to exploit exposed kills. The caracal cannot afford prolonged engagement. It cannot chase across open ground. It cannot defend a kill once attention gathers. A single failed approach costs more than energy. It exposes location. It invites competition. It forces retreat. In this environment, hesitation is not caution, it is survival. The caracal advances only when the balance of conditions aligns. Wind direction must mask sound. Distance must close without drawing notice. Prey movement must remain predictable. Any deviation breaks the attempt. When those conditions fail to align, the hunt is abandoned before it begins. This restraint defines the species. Many encounters never escalate into action. The caracal observes, recalculates, withdraws. It accepts hunger over exposure. It preserves invisibility at the cost of opportunity. But scarcity is constant in the desert. Food cannot be waited for indefinitely. Eventually, the risk must be taken. As one potential hunt unfolds, the environment tightens its grip. Prey stands alert in open ground. The sun presses down. There is no cover left to borrow from the land, only timing remains. In these moments, the desert reveals its true pressure, not as an opponent to be conquered, but as a force that exposes every flaw. For the caracal, the first conflict is not with prey or rival predators. It is with the openness itself. There is no sudden movement across the horizon. No explosive charge that scatters dust and panic. The desert remains still, almost indifferent, as if nothing has changed. And yet distance is closing. The caracal advances in increments so small they barely register. Its body lowers closer to the ground, distributing weight evenly, absorbing contact with the sand. Each step is placed deliberately, avoiding loose stones, avoiding brittle grass that might snap under pressure. The ears angle forward, tracking rhythm and spacing, counting movement rather than watching it. Prey continues to feed. At this range, there is no room for correction. Speed alone will not save the attempt, only accuracy remains. The caracal waits until attention drifts. A head turns. A brief lapse opens in the shared vigilance of the group. It is a fraction of a second, but in open terrain that fraction is everything. Then the desert breaks. The strike is sudden, compressed into a burst too short to follow with the eye. There is no chase, no prolonged pursuit across the sand. The caracal launches forward, closing the final distance in a single motion. Muscle contracts, limbs extend, and contact is made before alarm can spread. Dust lifts briefly, then settles. The sound never arrives. By the time the rest of the group reacts, the event is already over. Bodies scatter in confusion, fleeing from a danger they did not see approach and cannot locate afterward. The caracal does not follow. It does not pursue the panic it created. Its focus remains narrow, controlled. The kill is swift, efficient, contained. Almost immediately, the caracal withdraws. It does not remain in open ground. It does not linger over the result. Exposure invites competition, and competition invites risk. Within moments, the hunter is moved away from the site, carrying the outcome of the hunt beyond sight. What remains behind is not evidence, but absence. From a distance, the scene reveals little. No trampled ground, no extended struggle etched into the sand. Scavengers will not arrive immediately. There is no spectacle to draw attention. The desert absorbs the disturbance as if it never occurred. In environments shaped by visibility, the most effective violence is the kind that finishes before it can be observed. For the caracal's success depends on vanishing as quickly as it strikes. The hunt is not complete until the land returns to silence, until the openness forgets what passed through it. By the time the wind smooths the surface once more, the desert looks unchanged. But something has already been removed from it. In the desert, survival does not end with success. It shifts into a quieter phase, one defined by caution rather than action. The caracal retreats from open ground not to claim territory or display dominance, but to reduce exposure. Feeding happens quickly, often in concealed spaces where visibility is limited and attention fades. Life here is measured in restraint. Caracals do not announce their presence through frequent activity. Much of their existence unfolds beyond observation, shaped by long periods of stillness, broken by brief, decisive motion. During the heat of the day, they rest in shallow depressions, rocky outcrops, or sparse cover that offers just enough separation from the open land. Shade is minimal. Protection comes not from shelter, but from remaining unnoticed. Reproduction follows the same pattern of discretion. Birth sites are chosen with care, hidden among rocks or dense scrub, where access is limited and scent disperses quickly. The young are born into vulnerability. Blind and immobile at first, they depend entirely on concealment. The environment offers no forgiveness for exposure, and predators larger and more numerous move through the same terrain. For a time, the caracal's movements become even more restricted. Hunting ranges tighten. Risk increases. Every absence leaves the young unguarded, yet every failed hunt brings hunger closer. The balance is delicate, and it must be maintained without drawing attention. Noise is minimized. Movement is reduced. Presence is kept indistinct. As the young grow, they learn through observation rather than instruction. There are no rehearsed chases, no extended pursuits across open ground. Skills develop through proximity, through watching restraint timing, and the avoidance of unnecessary action. The desert does not allow practice. It allows only performance. Even outside the demands of reproduction, scarcity governs daily life. Prey is not guaranteed. Water is rare. Competition intensifies during dry periods when resources shrink and encounters become unavoidable. Yet the caracal does not respond by asserting control. It responds by withdrawing further into absence. This strategy limits conflict, but increases pressure. Energy must be conserved. Opportunities must be chosen carefully. Every movement carries cost, and every mistake carries consequence. In this environment, survival is not defined by how often a predator hunts, but by how rarely it is forced to. The caracal persists not by shaping the desert to its will, but by aligning itself with the desert's indifference existing within it, without demanding recognition. Here life continues quietly measured, not in displays of dominance, but in the ability to remain unseen for one more day. Water sources shrink. Vegetation thins. Prey movements become irregular, compressed into narrow windows of opportunity. What was once predictable turns unstable. In these conditions, the caracal's strategy of restraint is tested more severely than at any other time. Hunting requires proximity. Scarcity demands exposure. As resources decline, prey gathers more tightly around the few remaining lifelines. Vigilance intensifies. Multiple species converge on the same spaces, compressing risk into smaller areas. The openness that once allowed withdrawal now works against concealment. Every approach is more visible. Every movement is watched. At the same time, pressure from competitors increases. Larger predators expand their ranges, drawn by necessity rather than abundance. Encounters that were once avoidable become harder to escape. Dominance replaces discretion. Where size dictates outcomes, the caracal cannot afford confrontation. The environment offers no alternative routes. To hunt now, the caracal must move closer than before. Timing becomes sharper. Margins disappear. Waiting too long invites starvation. Moving too soon invites detection. The desert no longer allows patience to function as protection. This is where invisibility reaches its limits. Wind shifts unpredictably. Sound carries further across dry ground. Prey reacts sooner, bolting at the faintest irregularity. Each failed attempt compounds the problem, drawing attention and forcing retreat. Energy reserves thin. Opportunity narrows. Under these pressures, the caracal adapts again, not by abandoning stealth, but by refining it further. Movement becomes shorter. Hunts become rarer, but more precise. The caracal selects moments when confusion already exists, when prey is distracted by heat thirst or the presence of other threats. Success here is fragile. There are no prolonged chases to recover from miscalculation. No strength advantage to compensate for error. Every hunt is a commitment made without correction. The desert allows no second chances. When success comes, it is brief and controlled. When it does not, withdrawal is immediate. Survival depends not on victory, but on avoiding collapse. The caracal remains within the narrow space between hunger and exposure, navigating scarcity without revealing itself to a landscape that punishes visibility. This second conflict is not defined by a single encounter, but by accumulation. Each decision carries weight. Each movement reshapes the margin of survival. In the harshest conditions, even invisibility must work harder to endure. The desert does not care how a predator hunts. It only tests whether the strategy can persist. The land stretches wide again, its surface smooth and indifferent. Wind erases the faint impressions left by passing bodies. Heat settles into familiar patterns. To an untrained eye, nothing suggests that survival has been negotiated here at all. This is how the desert endures, by absorbing every struggle without acknowledgement. Within this environment, the caracal does not leave monuments to its success. There are no territories marked by dominance, no visible signs of control. Its influence is measured in absences rather than displays. Prey that fails to return. Tracks that stop without explanation. Silence where movement once existed. The caracal's survival is not built on conquest. It is built on restraint, on knowing when not to move, on withdrawing before attention gathers, on ending encounters before they begin to shape the landscape. Across seasons, this pattern repeats. Scarcity arrives, pressure mounts, conditions shift. The desert tests every strategy without bias. Those that rely on strength are revealed. Those that depend on speed exhaust themselves. Those that adapt to invisibility endure quietly, one decision at a time. The caracal does not alter the desert. It conforms to it. By remaining unseen, it allows the environment to remain what it has always been: open, unforgiving, and balanced by absence as much as presence. Its role in the ecosystem is subtle but precise, not as a ruler of the land, but as a force that passes through without trace. As night falls and temperatures drop, the desert returns to stillness. The horizon clears. The silence deepens. Somewhere within this openness, life continues without announcement. In a place where everything is exposed, survival belongs to what leaves nothing behind.